Have you ever wondered what makes a man go from intrigued to absolutely captivated, from casual interest to the point where he's completely consumed by thoughts of you? If you've ever felt frustrated by modern dating, second-guessing your every move or wondering why he's not as invested as you are, this is for you. Too often we get caught up in outdated advice or focus on superficial tactics that miss the mark. But what if the key to unlocking his devotion wasn't about changing him, but transforming your approach? Here's the hard truth: men fall in love not because of who you pretend to be, but because of the energy you radiate and the boundaries you set. In this video, we're diving deep into 7 transformative acts that don't just spark attraction, they make him crave you. These aren't shallow tricks or games. These are timeless principles rooted in Stoicism and dark Stoic psychology, designed to help you master the art of emotional connection and self-respect. Imagine stepping into your power and becoming the woman he can't stop thinking about. Not because you're chasing him, but because you've become irresistible. That's what we're going to uncover today. And here's the best part. These acts don't just make him fall for you. They make you fall in love with yourself too. Ready to get started? Let's begin with the first powerful shift that will transform how men see you. 1. Be comfortable walking away. Here's a question for you. Have you 1. Be comfortable walking away. Ever stayed in a relationship longer than you should have because you were afraid of being alone? Maybe you've put up with behavior that made you feel unappreciated or even disrespected because you didn't want to lose him. If that sounds familiar, you're not alone. But here's the truth. The moment you start fearing the end of a relationship, you lose your power. Men are hardwired to admire strength and independence. It's not about being cold or detached. It's about knowing your worth so deeply that you're not afraid to walk away when he isn't meeting your standards. This isn't just about dating. This is Stoicism in action. It's the art of staying grounded in your self-worth, regardless of how others behave. Pick this. You're with a man who's been distant or inconsistent. Instead of clinging to the hope that he'll change you confidently, let him know your expectations. You say, I value honesty and effort, and it feels like we're not on the same page. I'm willing to walk away if that's what's best for both of us. Do you feel the power in those words? You're not begging for him to stay. You're showing him that your happiness doesn't depend on his validation. When you master this act, something incredible happens. Men start to see you differently. They begin to view your time, attention, and presence as privileges, not guarantees. And here's the kicker. When you're willing to leave, they're far more likely to step up. Why? Because humans by nature chase what they fear losing. It's one of the core principles of dark Stoic psychology. People value you what feels scarce. But let me ask you this. Are you ready to put yourself first, to stop tolerating less than you deserve? This doesn't mean walking away at the first sign of trouble. It means setting clear boundaries and following through when those boundaries are crossed. Remember, relationships are about mutual respect. If he's not meeting you halfway, walking away isn't giving up, it's making space for something better. Let's reflect for a moment. Think back to a time when you stayed in a situation that didn't serve you. How did it make you feel? Did you lose a little bit of your confidence each time you compromised on what you deserved? Now imagine how empowering it would feel to say, I'm worth more than this, and act accordingly. Walking away isn't just an act of courage, it's an act of self-love. It's saying, I trust myself to make decisions that honor my worth. And guess what? Men respect women who respect themselves. They're drawn to the quiet confidence of someone who doesn't need them, but chooses to be with them. So what does this look like in practice? First, you need to identify your deal breakers. Is it a lack of effort, dishonesty, emotional unavailability? Whatever it is, be clear about it in your own mind, then communicate those boundaries, calmly, confidently. If he crosses them, don't just threaten to leave, be prepared to follow through. This isn't about punishing him, it's about honoring yourself. Here's the beauty of this act. Even if he doesn't step up, you're still winning. Why? Because you freed yourself to attract someone who will someone who sees your value and treats you accordingly. And that's what makes this first act so transformative. It's not just about making him fall in love with you, it's about falling in love with yourself. Before we move on to the next ACT, let me leave you with this question. What's one area in your life where you've been afraid to set boundaries? How would it feel to reclaim your power in that area? 2. Value your 2. Value your attention. Attention. Let me ask you this. How many times have you felt like you're giving everything in a relationship? Your time, your energy, your emotional support, only to feel like you're being taken for granted. Maybe you're the one always initiating plans, checking in, or keeping the connection alive. It's exhausting, isn't it? And deep down it makes you wonder, why isn't he matching my effort? Here's the answer. When you give your attention away too freely, it loses its value. Think about it. If you had unlimited access to something, would you cherish it as much as something rare and special? Probably not. That's why one of the most powerful acts you can embrace is learning to value your attention. Men are naturally drawn to women who command respect not by demanding it, but by living in a way that shows their time is precious. When you prioritize yourself, your goals, and your passions, you send a clear message. My attention is a privilege, not a guarantee. Now let's break this down. What does it look like to value your attention? First, it means focusing on your life. Ask yourself what lights you up. What are the goals, hobbies, or dreams you've been putting off because you've been so focused on him? When you channel your energy into building a life you love, something incredible happens. You naturally become magnetic. Your energy shifts from seeking validation to radiating confidence, and trust me, men feel that difference. But valuing your attention isn't just about self-growth. It's about how you interact with him too. Here's where dark Stoic psychology comes into play. When you're not always readily available, you create a sense of intrigue. Men start to wonder, why isn't she texting me back immediately? What's she up to? This isn't about playing games. It's about showing that you have a rich, full life that doesn't revolve around him. Let me give you an example. Imagine you're in the early stages of dating. He texts you, and instead of dropping everything to reply, you take your time. Maybe you're at the gym, hanging out with friends, or working on a passion project. When you finally respond, it's warm and engaging, but you're not overcompensating or trying too hard. That simple act of delayed gratification creates an air of mystery. He'll start to see you as someone who's confident, independent, and worthy pursuing. Here's the thing, valuing your attention doesn't mean being cold or distant. It's about balance. Show interest, but don't overinvestment. But by how you value yourself, by focusing on what you can control, your time, your boundaries, and your energy, you become unshakable, and that inner strength is irresistible. But let's be real, valuing your attention takes practice. It requires breaking old habits and learning to say no to behaviors that drain you. So here's a challenge for you. The next time you feel tempted to overextend yourself, pause and ask, is this person earning my attention? If the answer is no, it's time to pull back and refocus on what truly matters. Now let's make this fun. If you're loving this video so far and you're ready to start valuing your attention, like this video and comment number 1 below. Your engagement means the world to me, and it helps us build this incredible community of high-value women. And if you haven't already, hit that subscribe button and join us on this journey of empowerment and transformation. Let's keep the momentum going. Are you ready for the next ACT? Stay tuned, because it only gets better from here. 3. Emotional independence. Independence. Have you ever found yourself waiting by your phone, hoping for a text, a call, or some kind of reassurance from him? Have you ever felt like your mood for the entire day depended on how much attention he gave you? If so, you're not alone. Many women fall into the trap of emotional dependence without even realizing it. But here's the truth. Nothing pushes a man away faster than feeling like he's responsible for your happiness, and nothing draws him closer than a woman who is her own source of joy. Emotional independence isn't just a buzzword, it's a lifestyle. It's the art of mastering your emotions, so your peace and happiness aren't tied to his actions. And let's be honest, isn't that what we all truly want? A relationship where love is freely given, not something we desperately cling to out of fear or insecurity. The concept of emotional independence is rooted in Stoicism, which teaches us that our happiness should come from within, not from external factors. When you embody this philosophy, you become someone who radiates confidence and calm, a woman who doesn't need a man to feel whole, but who chooses to share her life with him, because it enhances her already fulfilling existence. That kind of energy is irresistible. Let's take a moment to reflect. Think about a time when you felt overly dependent on someone's attention or approval. How did it make you feel when they didn't give you what you craved? Did it leave you anxious, doubting yourself, or even questioning your worth? Now imagine the opposite. Imagine being so grounded in your self-worth that his attention is just the icing on the cake, not the cake itself. How freeing would that feel to cultivate emotional independence? Start by becoming aware of your emotional triggers. Do you notice a wave of anxiety when he doesn't respond to a text right away? Do you feel your mood dip if he seems distant instead of spiraling into self-doubt? Pause and remind self, his actions don't define my worth. I am enough, no matter what this is. Where dark Stoic psychology comes into play by mastering your emotional responses. You take back the power you may have unknowingly given away. Think of it like this: every time you allow someone else's actions to dictate your feelings, you're handing over control of your inner peace. But when you learn to remain calm and centered no matter what, you send a powerful message. I am the master of my emotions. Let me give you an example. Imagine you're dating someone and you've had an amazing time together. Then out of nowhere, he pulls back, he texts, seems distracted or doesn't make as much effort. The emotionally dependent version of you might panic, wondering, what did I do wrong? How can I fix this? But the emotionally independent version of you responds differently. Instead of chasing him or seeking reassurance, you simply mirror his energy. You continue living your life, focusing on your goals and passions. You show him without saying a word that your world doesn't revolve around him. What happens next? 9 times out of 10, he comes back. Why? Because emotional independence is magnetic. It shows him that you're confident, secure, and not easily shaken. Men respect and admire women who can hold their own emotionally, and if he doesn't come back, that's okay too, because an emotionally independent woman knows that her peace isn't negotiable and that the right person will value her strength. But emotional independence isn't just about how you interact with him, it's also about how you take care of yourself. Ask yourself, what brings me joy outside of my relationships? Maybe it's a hobby you've been neglecting, friendships you've let drift, or a self-care routine you've put on the back burner. Reclaim those parts of your life when you're fulfilled on your own. You don't need to cling to anyone else for happiness. And let's not forget the importance of emotional resilience. Life is unpredictable, and relationships can have their ups and downs. Emotional independence means being able to navigate those challenges with grace without letting them derail your sense of self. It's about finding strength in the chaos and trusting that you can handle whatever comes your way. Let me leave you with this: emotional independence isn't about being distant or detached. It's about showing up as your whole, authentic self without placing the burden of your happiness on anyone else. When you embrace this act, you'll find that not only do you attract healthier, more fulfilling relationships, but you also discover a deeper sense of peace and confidence within yourself. Are you ready to reclaim your emotional power? Let's keep this journey going, because the next ACT will take your self-worth to an even higher level. 4. Give him space to chase. Have you ever felt like you're 4? Give him space to chase, doing all the heavy lifting in a relationship. Maybe you're always the one to text. First plan the dates or keep the conversations alive. It's exhausting, isn't it? But here's the truth. Most women don't realize men need space to chase. It's not because they're disinterested or lazy. It's because desire is fueled by the effort they invest. And if you're always the one doing the chasing, you're robbing him of the chance to miss you. Here's something powerful to consider. Relationships thrive on balance. If one person is constantly pouring energy into the connection, while the other coasts along, the dynamic becomes unbalanced and resentment can creep in. But when both people invest equally, the connection deepens. That's why one of the most irresistible acts you can embrace is giving him the space to step up and pursue you. Let's explore why this works. Human nature is wired to value what requires effort. Think about it. Have you ever worked hard for something like a promotion or a fitness goal? How much more satisfying was it because you earned it rather than having it handed to you? The same principle applies to relationships. Men want to feel like they've earned your attention, not like it's theirs for free. But here's the catch. Giving space doesn't mean ignoring him or playing hard to get. It's about creating a dynamic where he has the opportunity to invest in you. When he's the one reaching out, planning dates or making an effort to connect, he feels a sense of accomplishment. He starts to see you as someone worth working for, someone special, and that's when true desire begins to grow. Let's put this into perspective with a simple scenario. Imagine you've just started dating someone new. The chemistry is great, but you notice that you're always the first to text or initiate plans. Instead of continuing that pattern, take a step back. Give him the chance to notice your absence and reach out. Maybe it's a few hours. Maybe it's a day when he finally does respond warmly. But resist the urge to overcompensate or overwhelm him with enthusiasm. This isn't about being cold. It's about showing that you're confident enough to let things unfold naturally. This concept is deeply rooted in dark Stoic psychology. The idea that scarcity creates value when you're not always readily available. He begins to see your time and attention as something precious, and the more he values it, the harder he'll work to keep it. It's a subtle but powerful shift that can transform the way he sees you. But here's a question. Do you trust him enough to give him space? Sometimes the fear of losing someone can make us cling tighter. Even when we know it's counterproductive, that fear often stems from a lack of confidence in our own worth. But when you embrace Stoicism and ground yourself in your value, you realize that giving space isn't a risk. It's a strategy. It's a way to allow the relationship to breathe and grow, rather than suffocating it with constant attention. So how do you put this into practice? Start by becoming more aware of how often you're initiating contact. If you're always the one texting first, challenge yourself to wait and see if he reaches out. If you're the one always suggesting plans, take a step back and let him take the lead. This doesn't mean you stop engaging altogether. It's about creating balance and allowing him to show his interest. But what happens if he doesn't step up? If you give him space and he fades away? That tells you something important. It shows you that his interest wasn't as strong as you deserve. And while that may sting in the moment, it's a blessing in disguise. It frees you to attract someone who will put in the effort, someone who sees your value and can't help but pursue you. Let me share a story. A friend of mine, Sarah, was dating a guy who seemed perfect on paper, but she noticed that she was always the one keeping the relationship alive instead of confronting him. She decided to give him space. She stopped texting first and focused on her own life, her friends, her career, her passions. Within a week, he started texting her more, planning dates, and showing up in ways he hadn't before. Why? Because he realized what he stood to lose. Sarah's confidence and independence made her even more attractive, and he stepped up to match her energy. Here's a simple yet powerful takeaway. Giving him space isn't about manipulating him. It's about honoring yourself. It's about creating a relationship dynamic where you're both equally invested, and trust me, when you master this, it changes everything. Now, if this resonates with you and you're ready to give him the space to chase, like this video and comment. Number 1 below. Your support means so much, and it helps us reach more women who are ready to step into their power. And if you haven't already, hit that subscribe button so you never miss another life-changing video. We're just getting started, and the next act is when you don't want to miss. Let's keep going. 5. Celebrate your own 5. Celebrate your own life. When was the last time you felt truly alive, completely immersed in something that brought you joy? Think about it, the moments when you were so consumed by a passion, a project, or even a quiet walk in nature that you forgot to check your phone, forgot to wonder if he was thinking about you. Those moments are powerful because they remind you of one undeniable truth. You are the main character of your own story. Men are naturally drawn to women who exude a sense of purpose and fulfillment. Why? Because confidence, passion, and independence are magnetic. A woman who celebrates her life, who is deeply in love with herself and the world she's creating, doesn't just attract a man's attention. She captivates his soul. She becomes someone he admires, respects, and ultimately can't resist. But here's where many women go wrong. In the excitement of a new relationship or the hope of deepening an existing one, they lose sight of their own lives. They start prioritizing his interests over theirs, shifting their schedules to accommodate him, and slowly letting go of the hobbies, friends, and goals that once made them feel alive. It's a subtle shift, but over time it sends a clear message. My happiness depends on you, and that, my dear, is a surefire way to lose both yourself and his admiration. So how do you avoid this trap? By making the conscious choice to celebrate your own life, regardless of who is or isn't part of it. This isn't just about keeping yourself busy. It's about creating a life so rich and fulfilling that you become magnetic without even trying. It's about embodying the principles of Stoicism, which remind us to find joy and peace within ourselves, not in external circumstances. Let me paint a picture for you. Imagine waking up in the morning and feeling genuinely excited about your day. Not because he texted you good morning, but because you're working on a project that lights you up. Maybe you've planned lunch with a friend who always makes you laugh, or you're heading to a dance class where you can lose yourself in the music. You're not sitting around waiting for his attention. You're out there living your life to the fullest. What happens when you live this way? Men notice, they see your energy, your zest for life, and your ability to create happiness on your own terms, and that makes them want to be part of your world, not because they feel obligated, but because they're inspired by your light. But celebrating your life isn't just about attracting him. It's about nurturing yourself. It's about building a foundation of joy and self-love that no relationship can shake. When you're deeply connected to your passions and purpose, you become unshakable. You no longer seek validation or cling to someone else to fill the gaps in your life because you've already filled them yourself. This is where dark Stoic psychology plays a crucial role. By focusing on your inner world, your thoughts, emotions, and actions, you reclaim your power. You learn to find fulfillment in the things you can control, like your personal growth, creativity, and the relationships that truly matter. And the more you celebrate your own life, the more irresistible you become. Not just to him, but to everyone around you. Here's an example. A friend of mine, Emily, used to define her happiness by the relationship she was in when things were good. She felt on top of the world, but when her boyfriend pulled away or got busy with work, she spiraled into doubt and insecurity. It wasn't until she started focusing on her own life, launching a small business, reconnecting with old friends, and exploring new hobbies that everything changed. Not only did she feel happier and more confident, but her boyfriend also became more attentive and affectionate. Why? Because Emily's energy shifted. She stopped seeking validation and started radiating it. But let's not sugarcoat it. Celebrating your life takes effort. It requires setting boundaries, saying no to things that don't align with your values, and carving out time for the things that matter most to you. It might mean revisiting passions you've neglected or trying something new that pushes you out of your comfort zone. And yes, it might even mean facing the fear of being alone so you can rediscover what truly makes you happy. Here's a question to ponder. If you removed your romantic relationships from the equation, what would bring you joy? What would give your life meaning? Write those things down. Make a list of the activities, people, and dreams that light you up, and commit to prioritizing them. Not for him, not to impress anyone else, but for you. When you celebrate your own life, you send a powerful message. I am whole, I am enough, and I am worthy of love. Not because of what I do for others, but because of who I am. That kind of confidence is rare, and men can't help but be drawn to it. More importantly, it transforms how you see yourself, turning you into the best version of you. Remember, your life is a masterpiece in progress. Don't let anyone or any relationship dull your spark. Embrace your passions, nurture your dreams, and celebrate every moment of the incredible journey you're on. That's the kind of energy that not only attracts love, but sustains it. And trust me, When he sees you living your life with this kind of joy and purpose, he'll do everything in his power to be part of it. Music 6. Set boundaries and keep 6. Set boundaries and keep them. Let's talk about something powerful, yet often overlooked: boundaries. When was the last time you set a boundary in a relationship and actually stuck to it? Be honest. Have you ever bent your standards just to keep the peace or avoid losing someone? If so, you're not alone. But here's the truth that might surprise you. Boundaries don't push men away. They pull the right men closer. Boundaries aren't walls. They're signposts. They say, this is what I value, and this is how I expect to be treated. And when you enforce them, you're not just protecting yourself. You're showing him that you're a woman who respects her own worth. Men are wired to admire strength and clarity, and nothing demonstrates that better than a woman who knows her limits and doesn't compromise them for anyone. But let's address the elephant in the room. Many women fear that setting boundaries will make them seem too difficult or high maintenance. Have you ever thought, if I speak up, he might think I'm being demanding and he'll leave? It's a common worry. But the reality is this: the right man will respect your boundaries, not resent them. In fact, boundaries are what make a relationship thrive, because they create a foundation of mutual respect. Let's dive into why boundaries are so essential at their core. Boundaries are about protecting your emotional well-being. They prevent you from overextending yourself and ensure that you're giving and receiving in equal measure. When you set a boundary, you're saying, I value myself and I expect you to value me too. That's not selfish, that's healthy. Here's an example. Imagine you're seeing someone who constantly cancels plans last minute. Maybe he has a good excuse, or maybe he doesn't. Either way, it leaves you feeling frustrated and unimportant. The old version of you might shrug it off, hoping he'll change, but the high-value version of you sets a boundary. You calmly tell him, I understand things come up, but I need reliability in a relationship. If you can't commit to plans, it's better to let me know up front what happens next. One of two things: either he steps up and starts respecting your time, or he doesn't, and you walk away. Either outcome is a win, because you're prioritizing your self-respect over his approval. This is where dark Stoic psychology shines. By staying firm in your boundaries, you create a dynamic where he has to rise to meet your standards or risk losing you. But let's be real. Setting boundaries isn't always easy. It takes courage to say no. Especially if you're used to being a people pleaser, it can feel comfortable, even scary, to risk conflict or rejection. But let me ask you this. What's scarier, momentary discomfort, or spending your life in a relationship where you feel unseen and undervalued? Boundaries are also deeply tied to Stoicism, which teaches us to focus on what we can control and let go of what we can't. You can't control how someone reacts to your boundaries, but you can control whether or not you enforce them. By doing so, you're taking responsibility for your happiness and refusing to settle for less than you deserve. So how do you start setting boundaries in your relationships? Begin by identifying your non-negotiables. What behaviors or situations make you feel disrespected or drained? Write them down and get crystal clear on what you're willing to tolerate and what you're not. Then practice communicating those boundaries calmly and confidently. Use I statements like, I feel disrespected when plans are canceled last minute, rather than accusatory language like you never keep your word. But here's the key: boundaries only work if you enforce them. If you set a limit and then let him cross it without consequence, you're sending the message that your words don't carry. Weight. Consistency is everything. When you follow through, you show him and yourself, but you mean what you say. Let me share a story about a client of mine, Rachel. She was in a relationship with a man who often made hurtful jokes at her expense. At first, she laughed it off, thinking it was harmless. But over time, those jokes chipped away at her confidence. When she finally confronted him, she said, I don't find those comments funny and I won't tolerate being disrespected. His response: he apologized and stopped the behavior immediately. Why? Because Rachel's boundary made it clear that she valued herself and he valued her more because of it. Boundaries aren't just about protecting yourself, they're about setting the tone for how others treat you. And here's the best part. When you enforce your boundaries, you inspire him to step into his best self. Men respect women who challenge them to be better, and boundaries are one of the most effective ways to do that. If this idea resonates with you and you're ready to start setting boundaries in your own life, like this video and comment number 1 below your engagement. Helps us reach more women who need this message. And it keeps this empowering conversation going. And if you're not already part of this community, hit that subscribe button to join us on this journey of self-discovery and transformation. You've already come so far. Let's dive into the final act where everything comes together in the most powerful way. Yet stay with me because you don't want to miss it. 7. Embrace mystery. Let me ask you a question. When was the last time you left a man wanting more? Not in a manipulative way, but in a way that sparked his curiosity, fueled his desire, and made him eager to uncover the layers of who you are. If you're always an open book, laying all your emotions, intentions, and stories out on the table, you might unintentionally be missing out on one of the most powerful tools of attraction: mystery. Men are inherently drawn to the unknown. It's not because they want games or confusion, but because curiosity is a natural driver of emotional investment. When there's a sense of discovery, they're motivated to learn more, to connect on a deeper level, and to win the privilege of truly knowing you. That's why the art of embracing mystery is so transformative. It doesn't just attract him, it keeps him captivated. But here's the thing. Mystery isn't about withholding or pretending to be someone you're not. It's about pacing. It's about letting him peel back the layers of your personality, your passions, and your emotions over time, rather than handing him the entire story up front. Think of it like reading a great novel. Would it be as satisfying if the ending was revealed on page 1? Of course not. The intrigue comes from the journey, the twists, turns, and gradual unfolding of the plot. Here's how you can cultivate that same intrigue in your relationships. First, resist the urge to overshare too soon. It's natural to want to bond over shared experiences, but when you give away too much too fast, it can overwhelm the connection. Instead, let him ask questions. Give him the chance to earn your trust and draw out your stories. When he works for your openness, he values it more. For example, imagine you're on a date and he asks about your past relationships, instead of diving into a detailed explanation. Keep it simple. I've learned a lot from them, and I'm grateful for those experiences. That one statement shows that you're mature, reflective, and emotionally grounded without giving away every detail. And guess what? It leaves him wanting to know more. This principle is rooted in dark Stoic psychology, which emphasizes control over how much of yourself you reveal. When you're selective about what you share, and when you maintain control over the dynamic, you're not withholding out of fear or manipulation. You're creating space for intrigue and emotional investment. And when he feels like there's always more to discover about you, he stays engaged. But mystery isn't just about what you say, it's about how you live. Men are drawn to women who have rich, independent lives, filled with passions and interests that aren't solely tied to him. When you're busy building your career, pursuing your hobbies, and nurturing your friendships, you naturally exude an air of intrigue. He'll start to wonder, what does she think about? What's she working on? What inspires her? And the more he wonders, the more he's drawn to you. This is where Stoicism comes into play. By focusing on your own growth and happiness, you create a sense of emotional self-sufficiency that's deeply attractive. You're not leaning on him to fill your life. You're inviting him to be part of it. That subtle shift changes everything. Let me share a quick story. A woman I know, Mia, was constantly over-explained herself in relationships. She felt the need to prove her worth by sharing every detail about her life, her dreams, and even her fears. While her intentions were good, she noticed that men often seemed less engaged over time. One day, she decided to take a different approach. Instead of explaining herself, she started asking thought questions, listening more, and sharing her thoughts in measured doses. The result: men began opening up to her, leaning in, and valuing her presence more than ever. By embracing mystery, Mia transformed her dating life, and her confidence skyrocketed. But let's address the elephant in the room. Doesn't embracing mystery mean you're holding back who you truly are? Not at all. It's not about hiding. It's about inviting. You're still authentic, still yourself. But you're letting the connection unfold naturally, rather than rushing to reveal everything at once. This creates a dynamic where both of you feel excited and engaged rather than overwhelmed or bored. Here's a practical way to put this into action. The next time you're tempted to send a long, detailed text explaining your feelings or plans, pause, ask yourself, am I leaving room for curiosity? Instead, send a concise, thoughtful message that leaves space for him to engage. Let the conversation flow naturally rather than trying to control it. You'll be amazed at how this small shift can change the energy between you. Embracing mystery is about mastering the balance of openness and restraint. It's about showing enough to pique his interest while holding enough back to keep him intrigued. When you live with this balance, you create a sense of depth that men find irresistible. You become the woman who isn't just memorable, but unforgettable. And here's the best part. Mystery isn't something you create. It's something you are. Every woman has layers of complexity, strength, and beauty waiting to be discovered. But by pacing how you reveal those layers, you give him the gift of truly earning your trust and affection. And when he earns it, he cherishes it. Remember, attraction isn't about giving away the ending. It's about letting him enjoy the story. Embrace your mystery and watch as he leans in, captivated by the journey of discovering you. That's the power of intrigue, and it's a power you've always had. Use it wisely. You've made it to the end of this journey, and now you hold the keys to conclusion. The power is yours, transforming not just how men see you, but how you see yourself. These 7 acts: being comfortable walking away, valuing your attention, cultivating emotional independence, giving him space to chase, celebrating your own life. Setting boundaries and embracing mystery aren't about playing games or following some outdated dating script. They're about stepping into your power as a woman who knows her worth. Let me ask you, which of these acts speaks to you the most? Where do you see opportunities to create change in your relationships, or more importantly, in your relationship with yourself? Here's the beautiful truth. When you embody these principles, you don't just captivate him, you become the best version of you, and that energy is magnetic. It draws love, respect, and admiration effortless because it comes from a place of authenticity and self-worth. These principles are also deeply rooted in timeless philosophies like Stoicism and dark Stoic psychology. They remind us that true power isn't about controlling others. It's about mastering ourselves. When you take responsibility for your happiness, your emotions, and your boundaries, you become unstoppable. You become the kind of woman who doesn't chase love but attracts it naturally. So what's your next step? Start small. Choose one act to focus on this week. Maybe it's giving him space. Maybe it's setting a boundary you've been avoiding. Or maybe it's diving into a passion project that makes your heart sing. Whatever it is, commit to it fully and watch how your energy shifts, not just in your relationships, but in every area of your life. And remember, you're not on this journey alone. This community is here to support you, cheer you on, and celebrate your growth. If this video resonated with you, I encourage you to like it, subscribe to the channel, and comment. Number 1 below. Your voice matters, and your story has the power to inspire others. Thank you for being here, for investing in yourself, and for stepping into your power. Here's to creating the love and life you deserve. Until next time. Stay confident, stay radiant, and remember, the best is yet to come. See you soon.